Ladies, for the longest time, I've had this sexy goddess part of me that had wanted to come out and play, but it just felt blocked. And in this coaching session, Percy actually took me through the parts of me that were holding me back from expressing this side. And so now we came to a conclusion of the steps that I need to take in order to get this part out and show it to the world.
Excellent. And actually, from the point of view of someone who has never lived in a female body, it was really helpful for me to understand that point of view. So whether you are in this situation yourself or whether you would like to understand someone who is, stay tuned to this video so you can see how we got through that.
So I want to learn about my erotic goddess part that's been hiding for a long time. And what is it going to take for it to courageously come out?
All right.
And I think at 55 now, it's time to kind of unleash that. But there's also voices inside of me that says it might not be safe. The reason why it's on my mind is because there's some people on Facebook and Instagram that I follow, and they seem to have no trouble in showing the sexiness of who they are. And this one particular person, it's like she shows it in such a sexy way where she knows how to really zoom in on, where she's showing the cleavage, but yet it's not in such an obnoxious way, or even the way that she poses in her photographs.
It's like tastefully sexy.
It's tastefully sexy. I want to be tastefully sexy like her, but I have a voice that says, if you get tastefully sexy, could that hurt your leadership brand? Could that make you less credible? And another voice that says, could that alienate some people in your life, especially other women?
So what I get is that you have this tastefully sexy aspect of yourself that wants to come out.
Yes.
And you also have some parts with fears about letting it come out.
Yes. And I think the fears really got reinforced when I was at a training at Kripalu. And the third day of a 5-day training, this woman comes up to me and says, I need to get to know you today. I want to sit next to you today. Because you've triggered me from the very first day that this workshop started. The way that you showed up, how you talked about yourself, how you contribute to the group, just your presence and your confidence and your light is triggering for me. And I know that it's not about you, that she was bold enough to say that you're reflecting a part of me that I wished I had that confidence in the way that you have that confidence to share your expertise and be out there. You're putting yourself out there and I'm not, and I'm jealous. And I was really humbled by the courage that she had to come up to me.
Yeah.
Then she revealed that, I have this courage to say this to you is because I am a therapist.
Right.
And I know that it's not about you, it's about me. And she said, no, you only have one Ivy League degree. I have 2. And how come I am not present in the way that you are, confident in the way that you are, courageous in the way?
So that's courageous vulnerability for her to ask that question.
Absolutely.
And that's the question you're asking right now.
Absolutely. So she was self-aware enough to know that she's triggered by me. But a lot of women are not at that place where their insecurities that they may not be aware of, they may get triggered and say, oh, I don't like Emily anymore. I could kind of sense people's energy because
Is that one of the fears that you're...
Fears of
the erotic goddess part coming out?
Yes.
The tastefully sexy part?
Yes, because it's trying to be accepted. And so she's not the only one that's had the courage to say that I trigger them. My confidence, my courage, my passion, my charisma triggers them. I've had 2 other instances of powerful guys that have come up to me and say, you trigger me. I stopped communicating with you for a year because when I first met you, you just like stirred up something inside of me and I had to face it. And how come I didn't have the courage that you had in terms of the way I show up, even though I am somebody in the business world? So because this has happened multiple times, and I know that just being in my light and my power can be so triggering for others because they haven't owned that light inside of them. So I already know that there are going to be some people that are naturally going to be turned off by me because I am extroverted and it's just who I am. I'm just showing everybody who I am And I'm not afraid to speak my mind, but I'm not adding that extra layer of, my tastefully sexy erotic goddess part. Okay, I'm already intelligent, I'm confident, I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. So I've got the brains, the intelligence, the looks, and that whole package. It's like, and now I'm gonna add this like erotic goddess part out where I walk into a room and all heads are gonna turn even more, and that's gonna trigger perhaps more people. And that's what I'm afraid of.
Okay.
Losing friendships.
Just want to see if we can bring that into your body a little bit more. Do you have a sense of where or how your tastefully sexy part lives in you? You don't have to say how. All you have to do is say yes or no, or you say you feel it.
It's almost like she's dressed up in some red lacy thing and almost like a red lingerie type of outfit, and she's just not afraid to go prancing around, but she's locked away in my inner closet because I already show this other confidence and passion and courage and have done enough of the inner work where I'm like I have stepped into my own. And I take care of myself.
Yeah, so I hear there are lots of parts that already express the confidence.
Yes.
And so let those parts know that we definitely see them.
Yes.
You have this erotic, this tastefully sexy part.
Yes.
That is, confident enough to dress in lingerie, and go out and be her. You mentioned she's locked away.
She's locked away, and she gets a little stirred up every time I see one of these Instagram or Facebook photos of one of these beautiful women. Like, wow, look at that photo that they just took. The V-neck is plunging right down to here, and just the way they took the photo, it's tastefully sexy, but it's not obnoxious. Right. It's like, I have never posted a photo like that, and there's a part of me that's dying to do that.
To do that, yeah.
But what's that going to do?
Sure. So I get that part of you is locked away. Is it okay if we take a look at the situation around her that's locking her away?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's that like? Is she in a closet or what?
She's definitely in a closet, and she's like, she gets reminded, you see, when are you going to get me out there? When are you going to post one of those photos? And I'm just afraid if I post one of those photos that no one's going to like it because they might get triggered.
Now, is that another part?
Yes.
Okay, so there's another part there that is saying, what if, that is afraid to post those photos.
There's also another part where it's like, okay, are some of the men going to like say some, I don't know if inappropriate is the right word. Are they going to objectify when I do show that photo? Because it's so unlike me. Whereas these other women, they have a pattern of posting tastefully sexy pictures.
I get that there's this sexy part in you, and there are one or more parts that are fearful. So you mentioned a part that is afraid of what women will think or being, intimidating people.
Yes.
And a part that is concerned about getting objectified and seen as like, whoa, what's gotten into you? Like that sort of thing. Are those two different parts, or do those feel like the same part to you?
There are two different parts. So it's an objectified by the men, it's jealousy by the women, and it's what is this going to do to my leadership brand?
So fear, kind of like professional.
Yes, my professional image. So these parts are kind of surrounding this sexy lingerie part that's in the closet.
Right. I'll just, show this. So the sexy lingerie part in the closet, and then there's a part that's fearful about objectification by men, a part that fears jealousy from women or from others, and a part that's concerned about her professional image.
Yes.
Would the sexy part like us to help out with some of these parts that are holding her back?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Ask her if there's one that she would like us to focus on first.
The jealousy part. Jealousy from women.
So how do you experience that part that fears jealousy from women?
It's like it would be like a stab in the heart. It's
That's
almost
how you feel it?
Yeah, because that would bring me back to the rejection that I experienced growing up. That I wasn't good enough, pretty enough. I mean, I was the ugly kid growing up.
This fear of jealousy is connected with some of the things that you've experienced before.
Yes.
Okay. So it's protecting, would you say that fear of jealousy is protecting you from a certain kind of hurt that you've had before?
Yes.
You asked this part that fears jealousy if we were to help out, help to establish the safety of those parts that it's protecting, would it be willing to relax a little bit around the jealousy? So ask that part, is it okay if we talk with the part of you that it's protecting?
Yeah. Now let's go to where that little Emily is just afraid of getting hurt again, feeling like nobody wants to play with me.
Oh, so yeah, the rejection that she experienced.
Rejection, like I'm not accepted for me. I'm not allowed to show parts of me. I mean, granted, back then I wasn't tastefully sexy or I didn't even know who I was. She was just rejected for being Asian, for not being rich enough, or having the right type of clothes and not feeling like she fit in.
Yeah, so it totally makes sense that she would get really triggered by the sense of rejection if people are jealous of her.
Yes.
How do you feel towards her right now?
I feel compassion towards her. I mean, even though I have the younger parts of me that didn't feel like she fit in, the exile part of me that is just the strongest in my mind is that part of me that was at Cornell as a freshman trying to get into a sorority. There weren't that many sororities around back in the 80s, so it was pretty selective. And I didn't get into any of the ones that I had tried to get into. And I specifically remember, like, she was in, I still remember the bathroom. Hideous, like a Cornell bathroom in one of their old buildings. It's green, she's in a ratty t-shirt, and she sees these 3 girls come in with their care packages of designer clothing, cookies. These are 3 girls that grew up in Fairfield County that went to boarding schools, and they dressed the part, and they belonged to a certain sorority that had other girls like them, many of them from upper middle class and upper class families. And of course they didn't want me. I didn't belong. I didn't even know what the culture was. So my energy didn't fit. I didn't dress the right way. So with them coming in with their care packages, I'm like, oh, my parents don't even know what a care package is. And they're giving you more stuff, and they're showing love, and you guys didn't want me in your sorority. And I'm there brushing my teeth. And it just really reinforced that I don't belong. I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted to belong somewhere. I wasn't the popular kid at Cornell, but I found my own little bucket of people that I hung out with.
So are you feeling connected to that one right now?
Yeah.
And she knows that you're here?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You can let her know that we found her, and we're going to help take care of her. Stay in contact with that one. So just want to make sure we have this right. So this sexy part is a part that fears jealousy if that sexy part comes out. That part that fears jealousy is worried that if someone is jealous of you, then you'll have to experience the sense of rejection that you felt.
Yes.
For example, as a freshman in college.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's focus on that freshman part of you that you were getting connected with. Right now, is she aware that you're here and paying attention to her? And right now, she can feel free to show you or tell you about anything she would like you to know, completely understood by you.
Well, she's just basically saying that it's pretty painful to feel like you don't belong anywhere. And she just, what do we have to do to belong? We know that one of the things we don't have is money to buy the right clothes to fit in. And even if we did buy the right clothes, we don't even know how to show up to fit in. Who am I? Who is Emily? She's trying to figure it out. At 18, what does she know?
So what did she believe about herself at the time? What did it mean about her? She was in this place.
I'm not good enough. I'm not rich enough. I don't fit in. I'm not important. Few friends that accepted me, but how come I can't get these girls to accept me? How come I can't get the rich girls to accept me?
The rich girls, her perception didn't accept her.
Right.
And then that meant something bad about her.
Right.
Does this younger Emily, does she feel completely understood by you, or is there more that she wants you to understand?
I've worked on her before, because a lot of situations lead back to that same exile, and I'm aware of it. So I guess what I need is like the right pep talk that I can give her to say it's okay to let this tastefully sexy part out. Or maybe when it's in the bedroom, it doesn't have to be as tasteful. It can be a little more playful.
Does girl seem in pain?
No, because I've worked on her before. When I get into these spots, when I'm in a bad spot, I imagine this big blue genie that has come out of the bottle and is just wrapping his arms around all of the parts of me, the younger parts of me that have been hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like this genie together with my highest self saying, everything's okay, you just keep being you, and we know what got triggered. It's going to be okay. Our job is to keep being who we are, and I have to keep reminding myself that the people who are addicted to me, I mean, one person did say, I am addicted to you because you're not afraid to show all the parts of you.
Mm-hmm.
This was a guy, and he just says, every time I speak to you, there's more of you that you keep revealing. Oh my gosh, what else is there? But then sometimes when men say that, there's a part of me that wants to hold back because I don't want to give them the wrong ideas. And I've had a couple of these men reach out to me after they learned that I got divorced, and I said, oh, I'm not feeling the same way towards you. Let's remain friends. So that part also, like, you have to be careful how you do this because you're going to get all these stalkers.
Sure. So that's the other fear.
Yes.
The fear of the response that you'll get from men.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm wondering, I just want to check on the one that we were with before, the freshman girl, and how is she doing right now?
She's good. She's actually saying, oh, you mean you're being stalked by other people? You're not even showing your tastefully sexy part out and just being who you are. People share how addicted they are to you.
Right. So she's updated.
She's updated. She realizes that I've grown into the real woman that I was always meant to be. I needed to go through my ugly phase, and she knows that she needed to go through all that wounding in order to come to a place where she really has empathy. Because at first look, people may say, well, how is she going to relate to my situation? She looks like she's got her SHIT together. And when I can share her story, part of her story is in my last book, and part of my story of shame and discrimination is on my website. So I'm very open about it because it makes me relatable to others. So I got to share with her that it works when they understand where I've come from.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like the freshman girl is okay. She's updated. Does that part that fears jealousy see that because it was afraid of the freshman getting hurt?
Yes.
Now can it look and see that the freshman girl is okay?
I mean, she's okay. I need to tell her, no matter what you do, you're always going to have some people who are going to be jealous of you because you are going outside of your comfort zone. You are unleashing the full potential of who you are. You are a mentor, a leader, a motivational speaker. That's what you've been put on earth to do. You haven't been put on earth to stay small. And if you could show others that it's also okay to be sexy, that you may get a few people that are going to judge you, but in the end, you intellectually know that you're actually going to inspire them to unleash their sexy side. Do it tastefully in the public's eye, and whatever you do behind the bedroom is up to you.
Okay. How does that sound to the part that fears jealousy?
She feels okay about it.
Might be something else that she needs to hear.
And we're going to do this slowly.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of these people who have a presence on social media, they do post a lot of selfies. And when I'm looking at these selfies, they're always wrapping a story around the selfie, not so much a egotistical, look at me, look at me, look at me. But because of the way they're wrapping a story around it, I'm not seeing them as egotistical. And I haven't been posting selfies and to say, here's the lesson for today. I think she would be okay if I started this gently and on Instagram and Facebook, just start posting more pictures of me. Different expressions. Doesn't have to be the cleavage pictures now. And perhaps when you do go to a social affair, go buy a dress that could show your cleavage and then post that. You know what? It'll probably get a lot of likes because when we have posted, not all of it, some of the pictures where I'm in the picture alone talking about some story, I have gotten some nice comments. It's not the 300 likes and the 100 comments that some people get. Of course, now that's a comparison part. But I think that she would be okay if I started slowly and made more videos, and videos, especially what we're doing now, and then hopefully people can see that just because it looks like I have my stuff together and I'm on my journey to climbing my self-actualization mountain, that I still have fears and insecurities just like everybody else. And I still have parts of me that wants to come out, so that the wholeness of who I am, it's like coming home to center. This spiritual model that you're taking me through is about accepting all the parts of who we are and not hiding any of these parts.
So what I'm hearing is that the part that fears jealousy and wants to protect you from rejection is okay with you coming out gradually.
Yeah.
And also with you coming out in a way that's vulnerable.
Yes.
If you're vulnerable, you're less likely to evoke the response of jealousy.
Yes.
And more likely to evoke the response of, oh, I can relate to you.
Yes. I just got an aha that I just wrote down.
What's that?
When I do start to come out gradually and wrap the stories, I could use the parts language, especially when I get into the sexier poses. I could say, a part of me is really afraid of even posting this picture.
Oh, so many people can relate to that. Oh, wow.
But I know that this tastefully sexy part of me needs to come out. And I get jealous. When I get jealous when I see other people having the courage to post their tastefully sexy part.
Whoa. That is leadership by example. Courageous vulnerability. Courageous
vulnerability. Oh my goodness. I just found the solution to this. Just never even saw it through that. Not only am I showing sexy parts, but I'm expressing the vulnerability at the same time.
That's right.
And that softens anybody that may want to judge and criticize me.
Yes.
Who does she think she is? I hate her. Oh, she's going to get all the attention from the men.
So you're, in that way, speaking for your parts. You're speaking for more parts than one.
Yes.
The sexy part, as well as the vulnerable parts, the parts that are afraid, the parts that don't always feel that way. So, yeah, and which people can relate to.
I could
Makes you more human.
Yes. I could even post that as part of the post, and then I could show them, insert the YouTube link of this video of what you just took me through.
Ooh, yeah.
To say, if you want to learn more, here's the whole video of how I came to this conclusion.
Whoa.
Wow. And I hope that this is inspiring to other people so that they can gain the courage to post their vulnerable things on Facebook by saying, a part of me is dying to share this story. But part of me is afraid. So I'm going to do this anyways. I'm going to start small and build a community. Yeah, she's okay with that. Okay, step by step.
Great.
You'll even gain more followers. Somebody may say, oh, I want to hate her. But they read the post, they're like, oh, I can't hate her.
Could totally see that happening, yeah.
Yeah. And I think if more and more women can have that courage, I think the cattiness between women can stop.
Well, that's great. So we've taken care of this part of you that fears jealousy, that was protecting you from rejection.
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe the next segment we can talk to the fearful part that fears the objectification by men.
Yes.
And the part that has fears surrounding your professional image, to get this sexy part really freed up.
Yes, that sounds good. Now let's get to the objectification by men.
Right on task. Just to recap, there's this part of you that's a sexy part that wants to come out of the closet. Would it be okay if we focus on that part that has that fear?
Yes. Let's do the men part. That fear is equally as strong as losing women friends or having jealous parts of other women come out.
Sure. So this part that fears the reactions of men, how are you feeling towards that part right now?
I'm curious about what it wants to say.
Yeah.
And how we should deal with this.
Yeah. So let her know that you're curious and you want to help her.
Yeah.
And ask her if there's anything that she would like you to know.
You already get some of these messages from men you don't know on Facebook, objectifying me. Like, oh my God, you're so hot, you're so beautiful, who are you? Like, delete, block. I mean, I'm flattered because I've taken care of myself, and us women, we all have inner beauty that can be expressed in outer beauty. I feel pretty good for 55, and it gets noticed, and people think I'm 15 years younger, which is a great compliment, because when I was 30, I wished I looked a lot older, because when I was 30, I was taken, even though I was dressed in a suit for work, people still treated me like a 12-year-old. Because it's just the Asian genes. Asians in their 20s and 30s, we look way too young, and we're not taken seriously. It's like you only have to hit over 40 in order to look like we're a little bit older. So now I really appreciate that I'm at this age, and I have all the wisdom, but yet people take me as a younger person, which is great. So I'm flattered. I've had people come up to me, it's like, oh my gosh, you're like so beautiful, etc. So I'm like, okay, thank you. It's not the first time I've heard it, so I'm used to it. But because I didn't grow up as the beautiful one or the pretty one, because I was the ugly kid growing up. No braces, didn't know how to put makeup on, I was shy, I was intimidated by others, I didn't know how to express myself. So I grew up as the ugly kid. So when you think about who I am, I didn't really feel that I was beautiful until maybe after 40. Because all along in my 20s and 30s, I was always looked at as like cute. Cute because I looked so young. But once I got over 40 and started to really own who I was, and it kind of turned the corner for me. So I had to build up all these other intellectual skills and socializing skills to be accepted. And then now you add this other piece of, oh my gosh, now the outer package is matching what's inside of her, the inner beauty that's inside. And so it can make for a lethal combination.
Sounds like that's quite a change that this part of you has experienced over time.
Yes. And I wouldn't change it. And I wouldn't change it, because if I had grown up as the girl, the teenager, the person in their 20s and 30s that was just ogled by men and other people, I don't know where I would be today. Because I think some women who won the genetic lottery early and they get noticed very early, that's their whole identity. They haven't had to grow the other muscles of intelligence. They didn't have to grow it as much. They didn't have to find out what other assets they had to make up for their lack of inner beauty. So the fact that I had to grow all these muscles, and then finally, the looks part will catch up to everything that you developed. I'm okay with developing it in this way, because this also gives me the vulnerability and the stories to share with others, to say, I wasn't born this way, okay? I got this way because I know who I am on the inside. And you too can have your inner beauty match your outer beauty.
Yeah, and that goes along with some of the things that were discussed in the last segment. What I find myself really curious about is there's a part that fears, what's been coming about lately, which has been objectification by men.
Yes.
Or is that part trying to protect you from something?
There's this negative image of Asian women that is sometimes out there that were sex objects. There's all these websites about, get your Asian bride, and that objectification I'm not okay with, because of the fantasies or some of these creepy men have based on looks.
So this part, if I have it correctly, is concerned about you coming out there showing that sexy side of who you are, because men will see you as an object.
Yes.
And recognize and value, see this physical, sexual beauty of you, but won't see other parts of you.
Yes, I don't appreciate that objectification. I mean, I don't mind if somebody really knows me and says, oh my gosh, you're so hot, you're so beautiful. That's fine, because I know they're just not seeing me as an object. They already know the whole person. So even the male friends who have reached out after they found out I was divorced, they weren't objectifying me. They already knew who I was. Wow, now she's available. It's like, okay. And I said, no, okay, I don't feel that way about you. It's okay. I don't see them as objectification.
However, you definitely have had people objectify you.
Yes.
What does that feel like on the inside?
It feels awful. A part of me feels like, okay, it's nice to have that compliment, because I'm used to hearing that kind of compliment.
Mm-hmm.
You know how some people, they hear a compliment, they're like, oh no, you must be talking about somebody else. Like they can't receive the compliment.
Right.
When people compliment me on the way that I look, I can receive it because I believe it.
I'm seeing two sides, and one side that we really want to pay attention to and help out. There's a part that's like, kind of takes the compliment and says, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
There's another place inside of you that you said feels awful from the objectification.
Yes.
If we could help out this part of you that feels awful in some way, would that help relax some of the fears around objectification?
Yes. And I'm thinking to myself, okay.
Anything else? Yeah.
It feels awful, but I've never been objectified as a kid. I don't know that there's an exile underneath.
Mm-hmm. Well, it can be an adult exile.
Oh.
Right. It don't have to be
from childhood to
be. It's the part of whatever part of you feels awful.
Yeah.
That's the yuck. That's the feeling that we want to help out.
Interesting. I mean, in my pharmaceutical days, I had a lot of, especially surgeons, they would be like, oh, I'll see you. You're just a gorgeous lady. You know what? If that's how I got to the back of the office, that's fine. I didn't feel I was in a suit. I wasn't showing anything. I wasn't like one of those blonde, buxom drug reps where they were wearing short skirts and 4-inch heels. No, I was way more conservative.
Okay. One thing I think I see going on.
Yes.
Is there a part of you that's trying to figure out what that feeling is about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So ask that part that's trying to figure it out. Just let it relax back.
Okay.
And we just really want to get in touch with you. Whether we know where it comes from or not.
Okay.
You just want to get in touch with this awful feeling inside.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Do you get a sense of that part that feels awful? Do you feel it?
The part feels awful. It's like, ugh. But it also reinforces, okay, I'm getting noticed. It also actually feels good because the inner child, the exile, the young Emily that's inside that did not get noticed by men, that part of me actually feels good. Oh, you're getting noticed.
Yeah. Can we let that part know that we see her? We get her. We don't want to take that away.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to keep the positive feeling. That's fine.
Right. The positive feeling is good.
So yeah, let her know that we're not trying to get rid of that. Ask her, is it okay if we spend a little time? Because we appreciate her, the way that she is, that she's getting seen, she's getting noticed.
Yes.
And we're glad that she can come out now and really have a good feeling about herself. There's this other part that doesn't feel so good. And ask her, is it okay if we try to help this part that doesn't feel good?
Yeah.
So how do you feel towards the part that doesn't feel good?
I mean, I'm compassionate towards it. It's a protective mechanism. It's like, no, you're not. Like you're going to be picky about who you're with, and you're not about just being a sex object. And how do I know if this person is seeing me so much as a sex object and wants to get me into bed? It's like, I'm not interested in that.
Is that a part of you that's talking to the part that feels awful?
No, I guess it's just like this rationalization part. There's a part that feels awful.
Let's see if we can listen to that part that feels awful. See if we can get really curious about it.
And let's see if there's something that represents this. Okay, the part that feels awful. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is.
How do you feel towards that part that feels awful when other people look at you that way?
Well, sometimes I wish she wouldn't be there. It's like this old grandma that's giving me the wise word. No, you are not to be objectified. You need to stop that. Okay. I'm going to have you feel awful to remember who you are. You're not a sex object.
There's a part that's causing the awful feeling.
Yeah.
So that you can remember who you are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what that part is, that part's intention is. Excellent. How do you feel towards that part?
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, remember who you are. You're an intellectual. You're somebody here that is here to make a difference with your gifts. You're not about being that sexy actress. It's all about showing the sexiness like the Kardashians. Maybe that's an extreme example. And I think she got reactivated after I got divorced last September. And a lot of my friends were saying, get on the dating apps. So I downloaded a few dating apps into my phone. And as soon as I uploaded my profile, I had like, OMG, like 50 messages from each of these profiles. And I'm like, I'm not even going to look at this. Yeah. This is ridiculous. I feel objectified. And how am I going to sort through all of this? Because they all look the same. They all sound the same. It's finding a needle in a haystack. So that part's like, stop getting objectified.
Yeah. So it's giving you that awful feeling.
Yes.
So that, one, you remember who you are.
Yeah.
And 2, it sounds like there's a lot of problems that come into your life because of the objectification.
I don't know that a
So
lot.
like the 50, oh no? Okay.
No, you know what? Not a lot of problems have come into my life because I've been able to, even when some of the doctors objectified, I played along with it. I was never gonna, I mean, sure, a few of them try to ask me out on dates and stuff. I'm like, no, I don't think so, because I wasn't attracted to them. So I have the power to not let that to get sucked into that objectification.
Great. So let's ask this part. Does this part get that? Is it afraid that somehow you're going to get sucked in if you get objectified?
Yeah, you know what? I've got all the chutzpah to like tell him to go, you know what? Go F off.
Yeah.
That I'm not interested, I'm not going to bed with you. And she's like, oh, I didn't know you were so strong. It's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See how some of the surgeons that I had to like tell them to like, put them in their place? All right, so she's saying, so you know how to deal with these situations. You're not going to put yourself in a vulnerable spot where you could get hurt. It's like, no way. Even when I've been to conferences, people have like, whoa, I want to take you back to my room. It's like, no, buddy, I don't think so. Mm-hmm. We just met. Oh, let's go and take a walk on the beach. I'm like, no, I don't think we're going to do that. You're a little bit too drunk. So I know how to handle myself.
Right, so this part can see that you know how to set the boundaries.
Yes.
And you're not going to get taken advantage of.
No.
Does this part feel like they still need to give you that awful feeling then from being?
No, you know what? Yes, if we post some of these tastefully sexy pictures, yeah, you may get a few trolls that are going to message you and just say all sorts of things, but you know how to handle yourself. Just take it as a compliment and let it go.
So this part feels safe with the sexy part coming out now?
Yeah. You know what? She could like take a rest.
Okay, excellent. Great. And let her know that she can take up a new job later if she wants to.
Yeah.
But for now, she can retire.
She can retire.
To recap, make sure I have it correctly, you had this part, the sexy part, and this part really wanted to come out and be more present in your life. It was afraid, first of all, of the jealousy that you might get from other women. And we helped out with that, you had a conclusion about that with showing your vulnerability as well. You had this part of you that was fearful of being objectified by men, and that part was giving you an awful feeling because it was afraid that if you were objectified, you would get taken advantage of. And now that that part sees that you're capable of setting the boundaries that you need to set, it can relax back about that fear of being objectified. And say, okay, I can take it as a compliment, and if anything starts to go in an unsafe direction, I can redirect it away. You're very good at setting boundaries now. And so that helped this part to relax and say, okay, it's safe for this one to come out. Lastly, there was a part of you that was concerned about, okay, if I let this sexy side of me out, what's it going to do to my professional image?
Yes.
Is it okay if we talk about that part now?
Yeah, let's talk about that part.
All right. How do you experience that part?
It's like, oh, is this going to affect what kind of corporate business that you get? Because if they look at your Facebook profile and you've got pictures of cleavage and sexy dresses on, can we take her seriously? And especially after the next book comes out, where Why Great Leaders Need Love Affairs, I'm kind of mixing in love and leadership. And then if they find me on YouTube and then we're talking about this, and they go on Facebook or Instagram and they're seeing that I'm not afraid to show this tastefully sexy part, which I gather most leadership development experts doubt if they're showing their tastefully sexy parts. They're more or less conservative. I mean, maybe, you know what, with the exception of the Esther Perel, who talks about affairs and infidelity, and she's teaching relationships in the corporate setting, she may be on the big stages and talking about that, but she's dressed relatively conservatively. Yeah, now that I think about it. She's in figure-hugging clothing, but it's usually in a pantsuit. Not like she's got cleavage and a sexy dress and sexy heels. She's very sexy in her own right. But that's not my definition of my sexiness is not her way that she shows her sexiness. I want to show it through more revealing, really feminine type of clothing.
Yeah, so it sounds like a real polarization there between the part that really wants to show that sexy side and the part that's really concerned about your professional image. If you were to show that sexy side.
Yes.
Suppose just to focus on the part that's concerned about the professional image, how do you feel towards that part that has that concern for you?
I'm grateful that voice is there. It's like, remember, you're a leadership expert. Yeah, you're trying to teach self-leadership concepts through the doorway of love and sex and dating. But at the end of the day, you still have to sell yourself to these conservative corporations. And especially in the contacts that you have, they may love your content, but if they're Googling you and they're seeing all these sexy pictures on Facebook or Instagram, they're like, who is this woman? We can't have her here. I don't care how much she knows. And I may be threatening to especially a female person that's trying to hire me. Especially somebody my age. In their 40s and 50s, I'm their social peer. And if they're seeing that I'm unleashing all the parts of who I am, and they have bottled up parts inside of themselves, I could be very triggering for them. And I've experienced that during networking meetings.
Yeah.
Where the people will not, they're like, yeah, I'm going to follow up with you. And they never follow up despite my constant reaching out. Because I'm another woman. They're in that catty woman competition.
Yeah, so you mentioned that as far as your first fear, with regard to fear of jealousy from women, and that comes up in the professional sphere.
Yes.
Do you think it would be helpful to update this professional part on what you discussed with the part that fears jealousy from other women?
So what we uncovered was that the best way to go about it is for me to be vulnerable at the same time, especially when it's easy on social media because there is room for a story where I could say a part of me is afraid to even show this side of me. So that's going to work for social media, but how is that going to work in a professional setting? Okay, Mrs. Director of HR, before you go Googling me, I just want you to know that there's a part of me that's afraid you're going to find my sexy side on social media. Yes, I'm not sure how to come to terms with that.
Okay. One thing, I guess, figuratively with social media, what I'm saying is that the sexy part, when the sexy part's out, it's also holding hands with the part that's vulnerable.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, there are probably other ways in every setting in which when you're showing your sexy side, you can also show vulnerability.
Right. So sexy part hold hands with vulnerability. Yeah, no, I love that. For the viewers of this video, it's just so important to play off of the yin and the yang.
Yeah. How does that sound to the part that's concerned about professional image?
Well, that part's like, well, it makes sense, but give us a tool of how we could do that in a professional arena.
So let's ask the professional image part, are there any sort of settings that it's concerned about?
I know that once I'm in front of an audience, I'm really good with being vulnerable with my story. That juxtaposition with, whoa, she's got her stuff together. What am I going to learn from her? She's not relatable. Especially for like the midlife people, midlife women, they may be in the room like, yeah, right. Okay, what are you going to teach me? Look at you. You're probably like 35 years old. And then as soon as I mention my age, they're like, oh, who is she? And then I go into my backstory of shame. It's like, oh, I guess I better listen to her. But in terms of the networking part, in terms of before I get the job, it's trying to sell myself to the decision maker.
So in a networking setting, that part's concerned that you might show up with the sexy part and people will reject you because of the sexy part.
Yes. Well, even in a networking setting, I have to be concerned with how I dress because some of the networking groups that I belong to are the women are very conservative. So I have to dim myself to the situation because I already know my personality is already out there enough. They get inspired by me, but I think that sometimes after they go home, because it gets so inspired by me, they're like, I'm not sure if I want to help her. Because there's a part of them that feels insecure or jealous that I've stirred up. Based on my history of people that have had the courage to come up to me to say, you trigger me, but I know it's not about you, it's about me. So I know the psychology of what's going on in their head, and I can usually sense it in their energy, because I'm pretty intuitive.
So does this professional image part feel completely understood with regard to its fears?
Yes.
You ask it, is there anything that part feels like it needs?
This is where the conundrum is. I know I'm edgy. I know I could be my version of the Esther Perel to talk about sex and love and leadership. but I also want to add my version of sexiness that's true to me. Once I get in front of an audience, it's fine, but it's some of the things that I have to do in order to get in front of that audience. And that's where I turn off some people. Even when I haven't even dressed in my sexy clothing, I've already turned some of them off because of my high energy. It's like, whoa.
What I'm seeing is that people are getting turned off by certain parts of you that they feel intimidated by, that their parts are triggered by.
Yes.
I know that they're, one can't control what other parts do.
Right.
But one can control what they present.
Right.
What I'm wondering for this professional image part is that could there be ways of presenting your whole self so that, okay, that sexy part might be there, and there are other parts of you alongside that, so that they're not just seeing your sexy part or just seeing your, outspoken or vocal part.
Yes.
Or just seeing, it's kind of like holding hands with the humility as well.
Right.
Does this part fear that that's all they're going to see is the sexy part?
No, because I don't lead with the sex. I've never led with the sexy part. I don't even know what it's like. I mean, I've seen, at personal development conferences, I've seen the sex coaches and the tantra teachers. I mean, they're leading with their sexy part. It's like, okay, lady, which is fine. That's their brand. Don't want to, judge and criticize them, and if it's their brand. So you know what? I think that I need to be careful with the parts of me that show up during the initial phases of making an impression. Because I have to, like, okay, my professional part needs to come out, my conservative clothing part needs to come out, because I don't want my clothing or whatever to, like, have them have another reason to not do business with me because I'm too polished. So I have to seem not too polished enough, but not too polished, because that's what's required to get in the door. And even if they do want to Google me, go on Facebook, or watch this video, what I can do is, since we fleshed out that I can speak for the vulnerable part of me as I'm posting these sexier pictures, that there's a part of me that's afraid to show this side of me, because of what it would do to my professional brand, but I'm staying true to who I really am, because we all have sexy parts.
Right.
So I think if I wrap it in the right story in the social media post, how could they hate me for it?
Right.
Can they?
Well, I would say they can do whatever they want.
Right.
Like they can. We can't control how they respond, but at least they're seeing the real you. They're not just seeing this front of sexuality without the rest of you there.
And that just
and
hits
when
something.
People see it,
Go ahead. Why don't you finish your thought?
I was saying when people see the whole you, of course they're more likely to see you as, if you present the whole you, they're more likely to see the whole you. Sometimes people might be blind and not be able to see it as well as others. And that's something that you can't control. That's not something about you. There will be times that when you present yourself, people will get triggered and they will reject or they will pull away. And there are so many more people who are also going to see, the whole you. This is a human being. This is a human being with vulnerability.
Yeah.
And sexuality. And wow, I'd like to be able to express myself, my whole self, like she is. I need to get to know her. I mean, this professional image part is really concerned about avoiding professional rejection. There might be some awful feelings that come with professional rejection. If we could help that part with those feelings around professional rejection, would that help that part to relax? Because it sounds like professional rejection will happen, whether it causes you to feel awful or not. Yeah.
Yes. It's just part of the course of trying to build a brand. And if there's a person that gets really turned off by my social media posts, my vulnerable, humble social media posts, then you know what? Then that is not a company I want to work with, because they're myopic.
Well, they're wanting to really limit who you are. They're wanting to limit this part of you. Whereas you actually want to work for someone who you can be your whole self with.
Right. And what I'm trying to teach in corporate America is you could bring your whole self to work. And I'm modeling that for you. Oh, yes. Wow, that's big. And when you have permission to bring your whole self to work, it inspires others to bring their whole self. And if I teach them the language of speaking four parts and even modeling through my social media posts. You see how I shared my vulnerabilities. And this is how you could also, not that you're going to be sharing about your sexy part at work, but this is the model of how you express the parts of you that are afraid to even bring up performance review conversation that needs to happen about your derailers.
Yeah, you can even express multiple parts in your wardrobe.
Yes.
Like in the same outfit.
Yes.
All those parts can be
Yes.
expressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how's the professional image part feel right now?
It's feeling better. It has some intellectual conclusions about, okay, how all these parts kind of work together to have me be afraid to not let the sexy part out.
Okay. Would it be worthwhile to spend a little bit more time with this on the next segment?
Sure.
Okay. Just to recap, we're getting back to the part of you that is concerned that if you show some of the sexier sides of who you are, then it will harm your professional image. And one thing that I'm curious about, we're aware that it's trying to protect you from something. Right, what would it say it's trying to protect you from?
Professional rejection. But again, the professional rejection also comes down to you're rejecting me as a person. I know what I could deliver, and I know that I could help your company, but it also feels like a personal rejection.
So there's a feeling there.
It's still back again to that college part that just felt rejected, but she knows that just like everything else, there's gonna be the men who are gonna objectify, there's gonna be the corporate people that are not gonna like me. And I think that this goes back to a lot of us where we just want to be liked.
Yeah.
We just want to be liked by everybody. We don't want any haters.
Yeah.
That part has to know is the people that hate you, dislike you, that reject you, it really has nothing to do with me.
Does that part feel like it really gets that, or does it need a little help with that right now?
It gets it. Like, you can't please everybody. Well, it goes back to full circle. This is what I'm trying to teach my followers, is that the bigger you go, the more you keep climbing the journey of your greatness, the lonelier it gets. It's lonely at the top.
The feeling that would come from, professional rejection, it feels like a personal rejection. And so I'm getting that you get on an intellectual level, that's not about you.
Yes.
I'm wondering, is the feeling still there? Like, is that, in getting rejected, is there still a part that would feel that way? Because I can get the intellectual parts if you get it.
Yes.
Do the emotional parts get it?
Emotional part. I think the emotional part, probably not really that strongly there, because trust me, in the last 6 years, I've been rejected plenty of times. There's been plenty of failures, and I know if I just keep going like the Energizer Bunny, that where I'm supposed to land is going to show itself.
Sure.
Not everything's going to be as easy as, getting my first book deal, but everything else has been a winding road, and that winding road has been full of rejections, and I just have to keep remembering that it's the spirit that drives me to keep going, because this is not about me. This is about what gets to happen to other people once they learn self-leadership, once they get into their wholeness. I'm just modeling for them what's possible, so they keep going outside of their comfort zone, so that they can reach nirvana and happiness and joy, because they're pushing the boundaries of what's possible for them.
So yeah, it sounds like there are parts that can, talk to and coach that part that feels the sense of personal rejection.
Yes.
That seems to work well for you.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that there's a possibility of really getting underneath that feeling, if that's something that you'd like to do.
No, I think it's okay. I think I've had so many conversations with this intellectual part. And when I do feel rejected in those bad moments, I have to, thank goodness I have people in my life that are just addicted to me, for lack of a better word. The words of those people who keep saying, just keep going, just keep revealing more of you, just keep being you. And these are women and men.
Yeah, so having those connections in your life is really helpful.
I don't know if I would have survived this long if I didn't have those connections that really see the potential of who I am. And when I'm in a bad spot, I could reach out to these people and they could coach me out of out of the bad spot. So that's why it's like lonely at the top. And in order to get to the top, you gotta keep meeting people to finally find the treasure of those 1, 2, or 3 people that are never going to judge or criticize you wherever you are. And they're going to keep propping you up. They're going to keep being curious. You know, one of these really close friends is a fellow IFS coach. And she's just been wonderful in this journey because she doesn't judge when my parts go haywire and need support. And she knows what to say in a text. Zoom out, Emily. Zoom out, Emily. It's their protector that's saying this. And so I'm just so thankful.
Yeah, it's very helpful to have those connections.
And just even having a connection like yourself, you know, being a fellow IFS person, it's invaluable.
I feel the same way. Sounds like, does this professional image part feel like it has what it needs right now? In order to let this sexy part out?
Okay, sexy part. Okay, you're not going to be showing up at the networking meetings where you're just like trying to make an impression, because that doesn't have a place. You got to be just like they are so that you're not standing out like a sore thumb.
There are places where this part can come out in front.
Yes.
And there are places where it needs to take a back seat.
Yes.
Just like any parts that we have.
Yes.
Like there's a time and place where each of our parts can take a lead. But what's important, it sounds like, is that this sexy part is not completely in the closet for you.
Yes,
it doesn't have to be out everywhere.
Right.
Right.
No, that would be too much.
Right. But it needs some places to come out and play.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I mean that,
Okay.
Maybe for a tantra teacher, they could have all the sexy parts lead in the front, but that's not who I am at my core. But I know that sexy part needs to be a part of my life.
So it feels like it can right now?
It can right now, and I think it could start to, it even had me wear false eyelashes to like make my eyes pop out.
Yeah, so it's coming out.
Yeah, that's a start.
Sexy part feel right now.
She feels good. She okay, finally, okay, I could come out of the closet now. Oh, okay.
And it sounds like she has ways that she'd like to go about doing that as a first or second step.
We'll have to negotiate. I think it's safe. Building on the pictures that I post on social media and building the story around the pictures so that people get used to me sharing this part.
Beautiful. Any of these parts have any concerns or questions or?
No, I think this feels complete. Now I know where some of this stuff comes from.
Excellent.
How to express my wholeness, because that's also part of my job description, right? I got to model what I'm teaching, walking the talk.
That's right. Well, I'm really happy for you. Good work.
Yeah. No, thank you, Percy. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.